Everything is real.
Okay.
Who's the call from?
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy.
Well, what began as really street culture quickly became incorporated by corporate culture. That is to say, they understood, I think, something very fundamental. I mean, if you look at, I know you and Johanna and most people your generation don't really look at TV. But if you did, and I don't blame you, but if you did, you would find that almost, I would say, 60% of commercials have a rap or hip-hop or R&B soundtrack.
Yeah.
And they either use the actual music or change it, right? Because capitalism is about selling stuff. And her group says,
You have 1 minute left.
Money, power, respect. Well, when it comes to black folks, you can have money and power and still not get respect.
Exactly.
We have endless examples of black people who have enormous money and were treated like shit. This is Mumia Abu Jamal.
Peace, greetings. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome again to ATP, About the People. We are hosting live on the amazing ANN network platform. Tonight's episode is titled, Who's the Real Threat to Our Communities? We just want to welcome everyone in and say thank you again for being with us, for trudging through these crazy times since we last met a month ago. So we have a full lineup for everyone tonight. Stick with us till the end, and we know you'll be in for a great treat. So let's get to it. Now we have our great sis back again with us, Sis Brittany in the house. Peace. Yes. Good to see you again.
What's up, Sophia?
What's doing?
Shout
It's what they call it, girl power tonight.
Woo
We'll do our
woo!
best. All right, so thank you for being here again and for hosting, helping to co-host and just being down to talk about what's coming up. And we have a few guests tonight, so let's get into our next segment.
So we eradicate this umbilical cord to the system by decolonizing and creating our own educational, economical, political, and social, agricultural, and military. So we eradicate this umbilical cord to the system by decolonizing and creating our own educational, economical, political, and social, agricultural, and military bases and foundations that's going to naturally eradicate the pipeline from school to prison and from the ghetto to the prisons. You feel me? And so since that time, since the 50s, 60s, 70s, the majority of the teachings, the theoretical teachings have always come from the inside out. It comes from those inside, like the Panthers and the Black Liberation Army veterans that were captured. And they were inside still fighting, creating this theory, sending it out to the outside movement and the outside pushing. And that's still going on today.
I'm a new African revolutionary political prisoner. I'm being held captive right now behind enemy lines, behind the wall in Indiana, concentration camps. I'm the co-founder and chairman of the New African Liberation Collective, as well as the national director of Prison Lives Matter. I'm also a cadre member of the Spirit of Mandela Coalition.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, for folks who may not know, that's Kwame Beans Shakur. That's our young brother, our brother who is unfortunately imprisoned by the system, and today is his 35th birthday. So, we want to shout him out for that. It's actually his first birthday in general population, and he continues. Folks should know that he continues to face very deliberate uh, medical neglect, and right now we are seeking ways to get him the help he needs to get himself stronger. But we want to highlight him on his birthday, and we know that as much as our brother is a young brother inside, uh, he's going through so much of what we've seen with our older elders, our Imam Jamil, our Mumias, our Reverend Joy Powell. So let's keep his spirits up. Let's continue to fight for his freedom, because one thing about Kwame is many people who know him intimately know that he really, really talks about his struggle and his case, and he's all about the next person and doing so much from behind for the community outside, like the community garden in his neighborhood. So send him some love. Folks can write to him. Folks can check out the Jericho website to know where to write to him, and all of our political prisoners. So that's what that is about. All right, sis, how you doing right there?
I'm doing well. I also want to be clear, or to put out there further, that this is his first birthday in general population after doing about 7 years in solitary confinement.
Right.
And I don't know anybody that could imagine that amount of time with yourself. I know self-care and alone time and all of that stuff is relatively healthy, but not to the degree where the system puts our political prisoners
Mm-hmm.
and human beings under those sort of circumstances. So, wanting to stay in a positive space as much as possible, I want to encourage everyone to look up Kwame Bean Shakur's music on Spotify, on YouTube. I just type out his name just like that.
Mm.
One of my favorites is Cold World. And he has a song for his mom, who's also
Mm-hmm.
been, holding him down the whole entire time. So yeah, just like Sophia said, some letters. That letters are always a good spirit lifter, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he has a wonderful message to share in his music, and it's not corny. It's not what you would expect it to be,
Mm.
because he calls himself a political prisoner. It's still relative to people in street families and anyone who wants to be a rapper. It is relatable. So go check that out.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that about him, because again, we sometimes don't know what our brothers and sisters inside like, and what they do and how they do it. So I thank you for sharing that. He's an artist and he does amazing music, and he does amazing work for his community, um, on the
Yes.
outside from the inside. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
we're gonna continue to raise up his name and his voice. And that was a clip that you saw from his documentary. So be on the
Yes.
lookout for a finalized version of that. All right, sis. So we're moving. We're moving. So we have our next segment, and once that segment comes up, we'll get more into our guests, or introduce our guests. Okay, so that's our sister, Reverend Joy Powell. And we have two great comrades, longtime revolutionaries, here to talk more about an upcoming candlelight vigil that will be at the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, where Reverend Joy and a number of other women are incarcerated in. So we're waiting for a guest to come in and tell us about this amazing event that's coming up and how we can all plug in and support it.
Peace, and
Hey, well, even before we get into June 14th, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on today up in Albany, which was a big lobbying day with a lot of people. And Joy has a group of people now who have formed a defense committee to work around Joy, which is great. And they were all up there, and they were handing out, I don't know how well you can see this beautiful little trifold that her nephew Jaquan put together. Tells a little bit about her, you know, her history and all that. He did a beautiful job. So we have a bunch of these who we'll bring them on June 14th as well, so people will know about that. So her group went up there with the lobbying folks. So they sent her some. I just spoke with her before. They sent her some pictures. They were wearing some Joy Powell T-shirts, and you know they were handing out this literature to various, you know, elected officials because she's trying to push to. See if the governor would absolutely possibly grant her clemency. So that's, you know, one of the things that we've been pushing for quite a while now. And of course, they came back with some ridiculous, you know, rule that they have. Oh, you must do 2/3 of your sentence before we'll even consider that. Which one of the attorneys was saying, well, that's just their arbitrary thing. Doesn't mean you can't put the thing in anyway. And it can be added to at any time, which is good. So, you know, that's something that one aspect that we're trying, because otherwise she doesn't go to the parole board until 2045, which is an amazing amount of time. She's already 62, 63 perhaps. I think she'll be 63 in March. You know, and she's been in prison since a long time. I mean, she's been one of our prisoners since 2010. She was in prison before that. And, you know, they got up this old cold case when she was about to walk out the door for her first conviction, which was, I think, 16-year hit. They found this cold case and they framed her up for this murder, which is a very interesting and strange, you know, illegal thing as usual, because apparently the whole conviction was based upon an audio tape, which supposedly is Joy's voice saying something about some murder, which was never presented to the defense, which she has never heard, right? So, you know, there's a lot of irregularities in this case, as usual, you know, with many of our political prisoners and many of our regular prisoners, our social prisoners as well. Nobody faces these kind of things. So, you know, she's in her early 60s. She also suffers from, you know, various medical conditions. She has diabetes, which she didn't have when she went in there. Sorry, I have a little cold. She is functionally almost deaf, which they claim they can't do anything about, which doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, there she is. We have her on a button with that too, and also on another trifold that we put together for her from Jericho. I like that picture of Joy. You know, and she was doing
her smiling. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a beautiful smile. She's got a beautiful spirit. You know, she's always very positive, and despite everything, you know, she always maintains a very positive outlook. You know, it helps that she has her faith as well. You know, that helps a lot. And, you know, she's been mentoring a lot of the other women in there. You know, the younger women, they all call her auntie, you know. And she says, these are my nieces, these, you know. And so, you know, it's good, you know, and she'll always speak up against, you know, anything that's happening to anybody, which is good to see, which often gets her in trouble, of course. You know, if you're speaking up, not just for yourself, but for other folk as well. You know, that often leads to repercussions and, you know, ongoing things. So she does have a website, which is, freejoypowell.org. You can go there and find out more about her. Of course, she's also on our website, jerichony.org, and the jerichomovement.com. She does write poetry. She is, you know, creative person. She'll often, if she knows it's like your birthday, she'll make you a handmade, you know, beautiful birthday card. She does these kind of things. Yes, it's very nice. And I told her one time, you're not supposed to be giving me presents. I'm supposed to be giving you presents, you know. But, you know, she's really a lovely human being. And, you know, it's a shame that she's in, you know, Bedford Hills. I know Steve is going to talk more about the 14th. But Bedford Hills, there's been a lot of very violent, the COs are there towards the women. So you got male COs who are running around, brutalizing women, basically, at any time, especially after the recent, wildcat strike that they pulled, which was basically because they did not want to obey the law and hold solitary. That was their whole thing. And they'd like to be able to, just brutalize people with impunity, as they have done, as we know in a couple of recent cases where people have literally been beaten to death by COs in New York State prisons. So Joy was just telling me recently, there was an older woman there, this probably about 2 weeks ago now. This woman is like in her 70s, and some CO just hit her so hard that she fell on the ground and hit her head, and they had to take her to the hospital. Now, what could this poor old woman in her 70s possibly be doing that some CO has to hit her like that? There's no reason for this kind of violence, and this is the whole culture of what's inside the walls. It's the same as what's outside the walls, when it comes to police brutality, which is what Joy has been spending a lot of her time doing, is fighting against police brutality. Like her nephew put this together, and he wrote about all that. That she was working with a group that she formed called Equality and Justice for All, and she created a safe haven for battered women, young children, and families living in poverty in upstate New York. And she led numerous rallies, vigils, community events, and organized protests from 1995 to 2006. So she really shows the true impact of being an activist by confronting the corruption and abuses of power by law enforcement. So that's part of the reason they framed her up. She was being very effective in fighting police brutality in Rochester, which is where she's from, Rochester, New York.
Right.
It shows a beautiful picture for that trifold, and
yeah, it is a very nice picture of Joy.
Yeah.
With
very
a big
beautiful.
smile, beautiful
very
smile,
beautiful. Yeah,
and beautiful spirit. And I've known Joy now for a long, long time. We do, provide her monthly stipend from Jericho. We send her money every month for commissary. We used to do her food packages all the time. She has some other folk now who are, contributing to that, so it gets shared around, which is great. And she has family involved. Her son just came to visit her for Mother's Day. Hadn't seen her in 20 years.
Wow.
Her son, Rakeem. So that was really nice. We're very happy that happened. He was trying for it to be a surprise, though, so that became a little difficult because it was all very last minute. But we did manage to put it together. We found a place for him to stay. We paid for the hotel. People drove him up to the prison, all that stuff. So she was so happy to see him. I'm waiting to see the pictures. Took some nice pictures with him and everything. That's her oldest son, Rakeem. She has another younger son in Florida. He lives in Georgia. So, it was nice that was able to happen, and we were able to help, not just us as Jericho, but the whole defense committee that has formed around her, which I'm very happy has happened, because it makes a big difference when there's more people involved. And I know, Steve, you want to talk about June 14th. Go ahead.
Okay, so I guess that's my cue.
Your cue.
So this event, it flows from some vigils that have been taking place at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. For the last couple of years, every couple of months, a couple dozen people have been gathering together outside to let the prison know that the inmates in there are not alone, that we are paying attention. But one of the groups I'm involved with, which is called the People's Senate, which emerged out of the tribunal, the 2021 tribunal by the Spirit of Mandela Coalition, which found the U.S. guilty of genocide against Black, Brown, and Indigenous peoples. After the verdict, we said, well, it's not enough just to have the verdict. We have to do something. So we organized this formation called the People's Senate with the goal of trying to create a space where all of the people who are working on different pieces of the campaign against genocide, which of course includes the prison industrial complex, the prison abolition movement, all the people working around political prisoners, etc. Somehow we need to pull our forces together and make a united effort. We're doing a lot of good work. People are doing tremendous work all over the place, but we tend to do it in little small bits and pieces around rather than uniting our forces. So one of the goals of the People's Senate is to pull together a united effort. And we said to ourselves, let's take the next vigil at Bedford Hills and let's make it what we're going to call a convergence event, where we're calling on all of the forces in and around New York City to come together on that day and make this a special effort. Instead of a dozen or two people, let's have 100 or 200 people. We're doing well. We have more than a dozen groups that have already endorsed the action, and more people are signing on. It's an excellent response. So basically, this is an appeal to everybody out there to get behind the action. We're asking people not to schedule conflicting events on that day. It's, well, the original save the date flyer said 3 to 5. It actually turns out with train schedules getting up to Bedford Hills, we're going to gather between 1:30 and 2:30 outside the train station at Bedford Hills. And then we're all going to walk to the prison. It's about 1.33 miles rather. And, if people can't walk, we will have rides for them. The information, I'm on my phone, so that what's the graphic on the screen is very small, but if you can, if it's big enough for you to take a shot of that QR code, it will take you directly to a place where you can get all the information about the vigil. And I'm going to ask Brittany or Sophia to read. There's one tiny URL, the first one up there on the list, which goes to the same place. And there are all the links to all of the different, there's a place where groups can endorse, and there's a place where individuals can RSVP. And we are just formulating the final arrangements for the day. As soon as they're set, that will go up also on the same, it's a Google Doc. So the same place where that tiny URL or the QR code will lead you. And we'll have a revised flyer within the next few days that will also have all the information. So I guess that's it.
Are you talking about the Bedford Hills? I mean, the tiny URL under the Bedford Hills wording?
Yeah, the one that says info after it.
Yes. You want me to say it now?
Yeah, read it out.
Okay. So it says tinyurl.com/June14-info. Okay,
so follow that link and you'll get all the details. You can also send an email to the people, to PS Northeast. PS stands for People's Senate. PS Northeast @proton.me. And if you send us an inquiry, we'll send you all the information.
Cool. Sounds really good.
Thank you for that, Steve. Thank you, Anne.
And we're looking forward to that. Unfortunately, there are a lot of other things happening that day, but not here in New York City. Our current so-called president wants to organize a huge military, authoritarian style military parade through DC, showing off weapons and tanks and things.
I think we can ignore that one. We can ignore that one, Ann. We'll go to Bedford Hill.
It's also his birthday, which I think is why they're doing it. And it's also Flag Day. But it is also, very importantly, Che Guevara's birthday. So we can celebrate that for sure.
Yeah. That's what we're celebrating.
Yeah, that's what we'll be celebrating. I didn't realize it was 1.3 miles from the train station to the prison. I've walked it many times. I thought it was only 3/4 of a mile.
Well, you getting your little workout in, huh?
It's a nice little town to walk through, and there's a lot of, I hope they're still there. There's a lot of people there who work there from Central America, and they have some wonderful Central American food. Guatemalan food there and Mexican food. and all the taxi drivers will speak to you in Spanish. So I hope they're still there and haven't been swept up in this horrible rendition that's being happening to all the immigrants lately.
Well, I appreciate you for pointing that out. There'll be a lot to support in that area for that reason. It is extremely important that we accept the request of this charge to make some noise outside of Bedford and just in the area in general, because for whatever reason, slave patrollers tend to think that our relatives behind the wall have no support, and it couldn't be further from the truth. And they're not afraid, they're not scared for whatever reason. And that needs to change. Not that we want them to be afraid, but we want them to fear the level and the pressure that comes from the kind of support that we're bringing.
Exactly.
So, that's why the theme of the demonstration is going to be Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, we are watching you. And it will put them on notice that, it's not just a handful that they've seen outside of the vigil. There are a lot of people paying attention to this. And
not just Bedford Hills, but right across.
If we're successful in getting the kind of turnout we hope for, we think it can make a big difference in the and have an effect on the way the inmates are being treated.
Yeah, and not only there, but because right across the road, they always have prisons right across the road from each other. So there's Bedford Hills on one side of this little road, and on the other side is Taconic, which is the medium. Bedford is the max, and Taconic is the medium. And they're both women's prisons. There's only 3 women's prisons in the state of New York. The other one is way up in Albion, north of Buffalo, where Joy was originally, and also was treated horribly there, including being raped by COs. And now she's down here at Bedford, and the same kind of conditions exist, and I'm sure they're just as bad at Taconic. I can't imagine
and
that.
This is exactly why, or at least one of the many reasons why the show title is what it is. It is time that we raise the awareness around the manipulation behind wording, media, and really helping people to focus and magnify on who the real threat is to our community, especially men in any position who are okay with brutalizing women. It just, I will never understand it. They are already dealing with whatever the condition is and why they're there, especially if they didn't commit the crime.
Exactly.
That is a crime against humanity in itself. And they're gonna have to answer for that one day, but they're definitely gonna answer for it in this lifetime, because we're gonna make them.
Exactly.
So
the other group that's been doing work around this is a group called Survived and Punished. And Survived and Punished focuses very specifically on women who are survivors of, domestic violence and domestic abuse, and then end up going to prison when they try to escape from their abuser, which, is a case of many of the women who are incarcerated throughout this country. And this is something that these men do. They'll do something. You'll maybe respond. You're defending yourself. You end up in prison. And then he can take your children away as well, if by chance you have children. And, and then you're also stigmatized for life because you're now a violent felon.
Welcome to America.
Yeah, welcome to America. So, but that's another group that's been doing tremendous work, not just around it. Joy, of course, is also one of their clients. But a lot of the women that are at Bedford are part of that, are supported by that group. And they've been doing really good work, too. They've been putting out some podcasts of families of the women and everything. And it's very moving. So you'll meet them on June 14th, because they will be there for sure. They have been there at every single one of these. And they've been mobilizing greatly to do work around that particular issue, which, you have to think about it. How hard is it? Bad enough you survive and you're being punished, and then you continue to be brutalized by these male COs. So it's like, there's like no escaping this level of violence. It's really tremendously horrible.
Yeah, there will be a lot to discuss at this convergence. For that reason, we don't get a lot of opportunities to discuss these sort of topics all in one space. So, I'm really hoping that people do turn out. We can make it a mini conference right outside. Ideally, the weather would be nice, so make it even better.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be out there regardless, because it's important the women know that they have support. And like Steve said, it's important for the CEOs to know that we're watching, and you're not gonna get away with it for much longer. We're gonna bring Tao and all the other political prisoners and prisoners period home. We're bringing them home, so they better start looking for another job because they won't have one soon.
Yes. Thank you. We have the flyer up again just for folks to take another look. And again, this was a real treat talking with you and Steve. I know we do this work together, but it's always great to have you guys come on and really speak about the work that we're all doing, but more so speak from a place of knowing so deeply about the issues. So we hope to have some report back, some things to share on our next show after the vigil, because we love to hear how it went and what can we continue to do after, because it just doesn't end after June 14th. So again, we thank you both for being with us tonight. And again, folks, check out that flyer. Please spread it around. We're looking for endorsers. So if you still if anyone's interested in endorsing, please let us know. We have a form we can send. But we are grateful to have you guys. We're going to keep the conversation moving to our next topic. And
email the People Senate so you can talk to Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you for having us.
And it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It's really been a pleasure. It's been wonderful.
Right on.
And I'm looking really forward to hearing about Rashid, because I know that he is in really, really dire straits, that they possibly have broken his leg while transporting him, and they have him in total solitary confinement. Very, very important.
Yes. And we're actually getting to that update about brother Kevin. So let's get our next guest up on so we can get into that update. Welcome.
Greetings.
Victor Wallace, you are on with us. Thank you again for being available to be on, and thank you for the work that you're doing. So please tell us a bit about what's happening with our brother Kevin Rashid Johnson.
Yeah, well, I'll start the most recent. His most recent communique was to call on people in Richmond, Virginia, to rally this coming Saturday. I don't know exactly what time, but that's something to watch out for. If I get any more details, I will send it out to everybody. He was compacted from Virginia, which is his home state, to South Carolina on May 1st. And this is I don't know how many, the number of states he's been compacted to must be some kind of record. He's served in Oregon, Texas, Florida, Indiana, Ohio, and now most recently South Carolina, although his home state is Virginia. I don't think he's any longer on hunger strike. He's on hunger strike while he was on solitary initially. He's no longer in solitary. However, the last I heard from him, which is a few days ago, his leg has still not been treated, and he did not have his tablet, so he was unable to communicate properly. So that's the most recent stuff. But more generally, he's been, throughout the time he's been in prison, which is now well over 30 years, he has been a tireless advocate for the human rights of prisoners, and has written exposés. He's done a lot of litigation, and so he's generally viewed as a troublemaker, and they want to get rid of him. That's why they keep transferring him out of state. He also, of course, has been politically active, and that's the basis on which I originally was put in touch with him way back more than 20 years ago, because I was the editor of a journal called Socialism and Democracy, and that led to some correspondence, which eventually led to Rashid, and he then introduced me to a lot of other people. But he was the co-founder back then of the New African Black Panther Party, which has gone through various turmoil. But I'll not try to speak about that. That's up to him to speak about. But I think the continuous thing that he does really of great importance has been his exposés, and he's written a lot. He has a website, Rashid MOD, that's for Minister of Defense, rashidmod.com, where you can find his articles. There are two books based on collections of his articles, including the first one called Defying the Tomb, which includes a long correspondence with another prisoner, and Panther Vision, which has many of his articles both on politics and on prison conditions. And he has now written an autobiography, which is not yet published. But so he continues, he's a tireless writer. He also writes poetry. He does drawings. This is an example of a drawing he did, a self-portrait many years ago. But his website includes a gallery of his drawings as well as his writings. Some of his drawings I included in a little book that I wrote called Democracy Denied, 5 lectures on U.S. politics, which he allowed me to use some of his drawings for that. And that's been used in prison education programs in various places. So I don't know what else you'd like to know about him. That's the most up-to-date and brief picture I can give you.
Yeah, no, this is incredible, because again, we always like to hear what our comrades and brothers and sisters behind these prison walls, who they are as a person, right? Because we know they never define them as a human being. So
Right.
what you shared and what Sister Anne and Brother Steve shared about our friends, our family is important. So thank you for sharing that, because I learned a thing or two just now.
Yeah, if I could
about
just
Kevin.
add one more thing about him. He's been on a couple of hunger strikes, including a very long one. And again, recently he was on hunger strike until he got put back in general population. But he always has an upbeat spirit. I'm amazed at the spirit he radiates. Just when we talk on the phone, I've only seen him once, which was back in 2008 when I visited him in Red Onion. But he has a terrific spirit, and he's an inspiring person.
Okay, and about on to after you're saying all of this, what can we do? How can supporters go about supporting Kevin in this moment?
Well, the immediate thing is to write to prison authorities in South Carolina. He's at an institution called the Perry, Perry Correctional Institute in South Carolina. And I think you posted just now the report that I issued a little while ago that was published in the Bayview, which gives his exact address, including his South Carolina prison ID number. So you can write to him there, and you can write to the authorities at Perry, and then anyone, if you have any connections or know people in Virginia, look for that demonstration on this coming Saturday in downtown Richmond, Virginia.
Great. This is amazing. This is good. And we just want to again just continue to lift up Kevin's name, his voice, and what he stands for, because again, we know that if we don't do that, they will never allow us and the rest of everyone else to know who these freedom fighters are. So we thank you for being with us. I hope folks are taking charge and trying to make those calls and continuing to look at the social media sites and just follow through on anything, because it's been a number of things I'm seeing in the past week or so on his story, what they're doing to him now, and the fact that we know that they can do this and not be held accountable in any way is probably the most disgusting part of it all. So we will stay in touch, and thank you again for being available with us tonight. And let's keep on supporting.
Thanks for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Victor.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, says that I mean, these two segments just prove how much work we still have left to do. Not that we didn't know that, but this is why we're doing this program, right?
Yeah.
We're
I want to highlight really quickly, and all of what we're hearing about our political prisoners and prisoners of war is the things that they are capable of artistically. And one of the main common threads being that they maintain such beautiful spirits amidst their personal problems, whether they're not thinking about their own situation like Kwame, or being able to help others around them like Sis Joy or Rev Joy. And just poetry writing, authors, full on books like Mumia, like just very creative, very beautiful human beings who would have had lives that who would have impacted thousands of other lives, but are still doing it behind the wall. It's just like they're doing like the they, whoever they are, doing the best they can to keep their knee on their neck or their proverbial neck, but it's not working. And I couldn't have any more respect than what I do for our political prisoners and our elders and our relatives, because no one can truly understand the level of fortitude that takes to push past and to still see past what you're dealing with, and being able to still feel and heal and smile is it's a beautiful thing, and it's a hard thing. And I just want to shine a light on that common thread, and I want people to really let that sit with them, that these people are still capable of love. They want to come home to families. They can't be threats to the community because they are physically unable to, even if they wanted to, which they don't. They have so much love that they want to give to the people that it can't be contained no matter what they do. So we're gonna bring them home. Period.
That's it. We're gonna bring them home, and I can't help but see that shirt is just glowing on you, because that's it. That's a nice. People may not know, but that's a nice drawing by our brother Mumia Abu Jamal, right? And
watercolor. I didn't know watercolor could do this. This is watercolor.
right.
I want another one. I need one in black.
Well,
maybe even blue. Like,
let's tell the people how we could get more of these, because this is exactly our next topic, right? We mentioned this last month when we had our first show. We talked about the Stop the Raids work and the Welcome Home Party event that we were hosting that same weekend coming up, and now we see that you're wearing the shirt from the event, and so we're gonna go right into it, because this is another piece that we want to touch upon. The Stop the Raids Coalition. We have a footage coming, but just quickly before the footage, we had an amazing event, and you'll get more into that, sis. And we have a number of young brothers still behind those dungeons for the so-called gang raids by the NYPD and we know ICE and just the government, federal government. And so we participated in a fundraiser to not only raise funds for those that have thankfully been released, but for the many others who are still behind bars and need to survive, and for their families as well. So let's take a look at the video footage from that event, and
Brighten us up. What's us down. And really, that should be. I don't want you monkey mouth motherfucker sitting in my phone again.
Absolutely. In 1 second.
One question. Which way you and I was fucking? Now I run again, get the whole world talking. King Kunta, everybody wanna cut the legs off. That man taking no notice. Which way you and I was fucking? Now I run again, get the whole world talking. King Kunta, everybody wanna cut the legs off. You got the hands. Okay, Tag, you know your job.
Mm-hmm. So wait, you said hold.
You're gonna take these cups. You're gonna line them up.
Do we have anyone able to support with this ice? Anybody able to support with ice cups?
I'm just laughing because it's one thing to see it now.
Zeroing in on my salmon patties.
Those are good, by the way. You need to do them again. Yeah, man.
Doubt.
So yeah, that was our event. Tell us a bit more about the way we can continue that work, the fundraising link, just quickly.
Well, so I'm sitting here watching the footage, smiling like a Cheshire cat because, the numbers, we hoped for, understandably so, it rained really hard that day. But we are deeply appreciative of the people who were able to make it and came out to spend a few hours with us. But it's important again that we continue to stress, and we're stressing and emphasizing how important it is to support people behind the wall, because it is a huge moneymaker for the system, and it keeps the poor between emails and stamps and visits and commissary. They continue to feed off of us and drain us of our lifeblood in every possible way, and we get nothing out of anything. The Giving Fuel link is the link we use to support these families, not only the individuals behind the wall, but their families, because the mothers are elders now, and they have children that are basically teenagers now. And we as people, last I checked, I don't know any rich people. So I know we all are in a space where we need help, we need support. We are community, so we shouldn't want support from anybody else anyway.
Right.
We are a village, and a village isn't just needed for children. A village is needed for adults as well.
Right.
So I want to really not beg, but I want people to feel compelled enough on their own to give $1, give 2, give 10. If you're feeling generous, give 50, give 100, but give out of a place where you understand what that felt like. Whether you were the person behind the wall, you were the person visiting somebody or supporting somebody behind the wall, because I've been there, and it's not cheap at all. JPay and GTL all make money off of the emails to keep in contact with these people, to have relationships with them, for stamps, to traveling distances. They purposely send our family members in these far off places so we can't reach them, so they can't have any physical contact or no eye to eye contact with family. And it's a very sick process that they do their level best, and they put all of this thinking into how they can dehumanize us and strip us of our humanity and make us mentally wander off into nowhere land. And
Yeah.
I'm so proud of the elders who continue to maintain. I'm proud of the elders who have returned and re-entered this space and still have their humanity, if not more. They've come back to us as even better people than what they were. Kicking ass.
Yeah, man.
Elders. I want to stress that. Most of our elders are coming home in their 60s, their 70s, their 80s. They're doing numbers, but coming back with such big hearts, full of love that they've been wanting to give to the people and give to their communities.
Right, right.
So we don't want these young men, these our brothers, to spend these 20, 30, 40, 50-year type numbers behind the wall. We don't want to give the system that benefit of keeping them that long. But while they're there, we want to support in making the experience that just the death camp experience less of a blow than
Yeah.
what it usually is,
Right.
because they don't treat our people like people, and they don't deserve that.
And you're absolutely right. And this is one of the reasons why we need to have these T-shirts, so that when people see it and they ask questions, we can spread the word and raise the awareness. And just to let folks know, if you want to have one of these T-shirts, they can email ATP about the people. So email about the people 1312 at gmail.com, and you can get a T, right? We can get that to you. And listen, we'll have a nice black version soon. So, if you want different colors, we'll have that going soon. But for right now, that's where people can go, about the people 1312 at Gmail, and we can get that over to you and let you get us your information. I think they're going for about maybe $35 or so. But listen, reach out to us. We have more we can put out there. And listen, this is it. We want to see that shirt one more time before we get moving into the last or so segment.
You want to see it again?
That's it. That's it. And it's a nice shirt to wear, so it's not uncomfortable, and it's really
Yeah, it's
something
not
that
the
brings
fake stuff.
eyes to
It's
you
really in
in a
there.
good way. So yeah, so that's yes, yes, yes. It's all there. Wear it proud. This is what we need to be wearing proud. Uh, we
Absolutely.
can uh, we can respect the hustle on this one. So yeah, so we're gonna uh, you know keep it moving to from what we have done, what we said we would do last month, to what's coming up. What's coming up this month? What's coming up next month? We have a number of things on our agenda, and I'm just checking here that we have one actually this weekend. The African, oh, where did I put it? I lost it here. Yeah,
African Liberation Day.
Liberation. Yes, yes, we have that coming up in Brooklyn this Saturday for a number of hours. You want to tell us about that? I have some more information here as well. And we have a
Um,
participation form for people who are interested.
yeah. Well, briefly, I can't go too deeply into the event itself. I haven't been directly involved with putting the event together, but I just want to encourage people to come out and go out and support it, because I keep hearing and understanding that it's important for us to delve into our culture, where we're so wrapped up in
Hmm.
supporting other cultures and getting wrapped up in other cultures besides African culture. So yeah, that needs to change. And I think this is one of the many ways that we can start to do that, getting to know ourselves and being around each other, being around our folks. So yeah, you let them know the information, but come
Yes.
outside.
Yes, outside is where it's at. It's definitely live outside, and the information is going to be africanliberationday.net. So check out that website, africanliberationday.net, and that's happening on Saturday, May 24th. I believe it's a few hours in the day, so it's almost like a whole day event. and our comrades at AAPRP are hosting it, and they would love to have much engagement in the political education and the community coming together, and really just putting our efforts together to continue this struggle. So folks, get up on that. And the next one we have coming up is the, as we like to say, the NBROC conference, the National Black Radical Organizing Conference, that's coming up next weekend, starting the Friday, right? And
May
that whole
30th to the
weekend,
1st.
yeah, and yeah, that whole weekend will be, as the young people like to say, lit.
Yo,
It will be it will be definitely lit, as they say. Tell us a bit about that conference, and if you want to get involved, how should you? I don't know if we do have any more registration spots open, but tell us.
so the conference will be sort of the beginning stages of what I would like to think that Steve was touching on, as far as um representatives from other Black radical
Mhm.
organizations from all over the region, um, coming out to in one space at Butler University to really get into the weeds of what is needed in our communities, what changes need to happen, and how we can come together and support one another in making these changes become a reality
Right.
in our lifetimes. And again, another one of those spaces where we don't get to fellowship and congregate in all together all the time, so I'm looking forward to being there. I think it's going to be a lot of us there. It's going to our elder and Black Panther veteran, bro Jihad Abdul Mumit, and
Hmm.
Baba Ashanti Austin are going to be two of the speakers there. And I I don't know where you can get more wisdom from than
Hmm.
from veterans who have been directly involved with the movement, of Black Panther veterans who were teenagers
Yep.
when they started. So I truly encourage people to look up the website,
Yeah.
to read the information that is on the site, and if you can make it to Indianapolis, Indiana, please come out, because it
Yeah.
is important that we come off of these devices and see each other face to face, and really start to be the change, participate in the change we want to see in our
Definitely.
communities. So
And
yeah, come
that's
out.
that's it. We have to come out, and I think at this point, from what I'm gathering, I see that the conference has really hit the limit for in person, but there will be some remote access. So I know we'll have some of the YouTube channels, perhaps a Black Liberation Media or something, doing some of that. So folks can stay tuned. If you want to hear more or know more, just reach out to us and we can send that information over when things go live. But it's going to be incredible together,
Yes,
towards the Black liberation struggle, where we can safely and intently strategize and really put forth some serious stuff to really take back the power. Not that we never had the power, but really in the flesh, take that back and begin really doing some big things. So that's the next major event that we are promoting and supporting. And what's next? Yes, so we have where's this colli okay, I think we had something coming up here. All right, so yeah, so we have, we've pretty much reached at the end. We just want to make some quick announcements and then we'll close. I know that we are always doing things in the People's Senate, and having such different modes. And by the way, that's one of the ways in which we're going to do more of the network connecting at the event, at the conference. But we are definitely looking to have more indirect contact. And one way you can directly contact us is coming through this Sunday, the day before their memorial holiday. I know it's a crazy weekend, but it will be even better to be with, revolutionaries like ourselves doing amazing things. So come to the People's Republic of Brooklyn, and that's at 2 p.m. And if you want to know more information about the location, just email us because we prefer to give that information directly. Again, PS Northeast at proton.me. Folks can email us there. Come to that meeting. It's a general meeting of the Northeast folks, and we have these on a monthly basis, typically on Sundays around the same time. And we love to see some new faces, some folks to connect with us, vibe with us, and just really tell us what's going on and how we can all come together and do that work.
Right
And
on.
so that's happening. What else is happening? Well, not that this is not happening, but this is always online somewhere. Just kidding. So we have a calendar. So you can't say you don't know what's happening. If we're not here, check out the Spirit of Mandela event calendar. It's regularly updated. Thank you to our many comrades who put on events on there. That calendar can be had on the Spirit of Mandela website. I thought I saw it here, but maybe I missed it. But definitely check out that calendar because again, we know of so much happening and we're trying to support a lot. And so we want to make sure that people are aware as well. So check that out, know what's going on, and in the same breath, we'll share these information out on our page because again, everything is connecting and everything is happening. So we
Yeah,
know
go
for
to
sure.
spiritofmandela.org.
Yes,
Spiritofmandela.org.
yes.
Spiritofmandela.org.
Actually,
And go
that's
to the
correct.
event
And
and
backslash news dash events. There we go.
slash
You
news
have to,
and
you
put
have to,
in your own events.
yeah,
If you
man.
are involved in
Yeah,
anything in your community, with
put
anything
your
with
on there.
children, anything with elders, anything with community support
Yes.
that you would want people to know about, the People Senate,
Mm-hmm.
please let us know. You don't have to ask any permission to put anything on the calendar. All as long as all of the information is there, we share the information. We are happy to, and we will be outside. We will come.
Yeah, man, that's where it is. We will be outside. So upload, and we look forward to seeing what folks put on there. So I really think that's the end of our show tonight. This is our second monthly show with the great folks at ANN. I'm glad to be able to represent both ATP and ANN. And stay tuned because this is ongoing. Next month, we'll have another amazing episode. And, we continue to do this work because it needs to continue. And we
Right
know
on.
that as long as they continue to oppress us and demoralize us, we'll continue to fight harder and take back our power and do what we need to do to fight for freedom and to win
Because
it.
we're taking back everything. We're taking it
Yes,
back everything. Everything.
yes. So
In our lifetime.
in our lifetime.
To
Sis,
my
it's
always a pleasure with you, sis. Always a pleasure.
always,
Always.
always. And
Love you. You know,
yes, the love is there. Thank you guys behind the scenes helping us out. Much love and all power to the people. Peace.